Relax and get loose while I put you up on game. The Figure Booth with Josh and Nate. This that podcast for those in the know. Batman vs. Iron Man, how would it go? We talking one of a kind. Collectibles, Mezco toys are respectable. It's unacceptable if it's not in the packaging. Nate don't take pics if you ain't rapping it. Nate's dirty tricks are always happening. But damn it, man, don't you be stressing. Round here we believe in plastic confessions. We trying to figure out the figures that's gonna stand the test of time. That G.I. Joe handmade hit me in the spine. There's perfection in the way that these toys are made. But I also wanna know, do I pick Wade or Slade? So this is where I come to kick it with the guys. The Figure Booth. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Welcome to the Figure Booth podcast show, here where we talk about the ups and downs of the modern day collector. We go over pre-orders, weekly hauls. We do interviews with active community members in the action figure world. My name is Josh, and I'm joined by my friend, co-host, Nate.
Hello, everybody. This is FigureFan_Nate, and you have reached episode 54, which we're calling You Must Be New Here.
Welcome.
Welcome, by the way, if you are.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
Right.
What are we going to do for these beautiful people that just showed up, whether you're tuning in, listening to us, or you're watching us?
Yeah, if this is your first Figure Booth episode, make sure to check out our history. We've had a lot of great guests, including Unparalleled Universe, Jay Hernandez, most recently Dan Hu. We had Playing With Myself, Anna Ben Wickler. I won't list them all, but you should go back into our history if you haven't been here before. As well as all of our podcast topics, we try to cover a wide range of topics of things that you as collectors in the action figure community are dealing with on a daily basis, giving our own thoughts on it, and maybe just kind of spitballing those ideas. This isn't just an episode to introduce who we are, because I know there's a lot of fans that listen weekly, and we appreciate you. Whether you're new to collecting, whether you're new to toy photography, whether you're new to toy customizing or diorama making or prop making, we wanted to have an episode to kind of recognize anybody that's new in the community, hopefully provide a little bit of guidance on how to get started, how did we get started, what things maybe to do or not do. And then also, if you're listening and you will have some good feedback, put it down in the chat, or not the chat, excuse me, leave a comment while you're hitting the like button, which is a very easy and simple thing to do. Make sure you leave a comment, which may take a little bit more time, but always hit the like button. We appreciate it. It's a simple gesture that actually goes a long way. So we appreciate that.
Yes, indeed. It's kind of like a checklist, because I think we have a tendency to forget there's always going to be that first-time collector. And if you tune into our weekly lives, which we do occasionally on Mondays, we kind of touched upon that I think, I know, speaking for myself, I kind of forget, like, there's going to be that individual who will pick up their first Marvel Legend or their first G.I. Joe or whatever, fill in the blank, whatever figure it is. It's their first one, and this is like the bug that gets them. And a lot of times, I know I was in these shoes, and in this place where you almost become overwhelmed. You discover the community, and then you want to do it all. You want to be the next Sergeant Bananas, or you want to be the next The Amazing, or you want to be the next, master dial builder or the custom creator, and just do it all. And then it becomes overwhelming, because then you take on this daunting task, and you probably going to fail, which is okay, because my first epic toy photography dial setup was a complete mess. It was horrible. It looked like a 2-year-old did it, and that's disrespecting a lot of 2-year-olds. So it's okay that it's really, really messy and you stink at it. You're not supposed to be that great at the very first time, but there's others that they strike gold on the very first time. But all in all, I think there's a laundry list of checklists that we can provide, kind of do's and don'ts, and just kind of, I think, bringing an awareness to how big this community is. And there's so many talented individuals out there that do so many great things that we just kind of want to run through these and just have a great discussion about them.
Yeah, I think it's well said. And you touched on something that you got to remember is, like, don't be afraid to fail. You don't learn unless you fail, right? Or you don't learn unless you go through the stages of, I think toy photography is one of the example that I can resonate to is, you're going to start and it's going to look rough.
Yeah.
You can't expect that you're just gonna come out of the gates as a D amazing.
Yeah.
You got to learn what it takes to get to that level. And I'm still not where I want to be, but don't be afraid to take those risks and those chances, because that's how you learn. Like, hey, I've seen this technique. I'm going to try it out. Let me see how it works. I may not perfect it, but one shot will make me more confident to try shot number 2.
Yeah, exactly. And just keep trying at it. It's so funny because like my son, he's 10 years old. He started drawing as soon as he turned 10, and he's been at it. And at first he was like, having a hard time just doing simple shapes and drawing what he saw on YouTube. And he was, just following other YouTubers and stuff like that. And he would show me, he's like, look, and he's like, oh, but I think this is trash. And I'm like, no, that's good. Like this is your first attempt. Keep at it. Just keep going. And he's really, really into Plants vs. Zombies right now. So he was drawing all the plants. He was doing all the plants. And like he did them all in like one weekend. And he put them up on his door. And I was like, all right, and then he kept watching videos and he kept practicing, and he did them again. And he's like, look, these are much better than the ones I did last week. I'm like, yeah, they are better. And he's like, oh, and then he started asking for like colored pencils. And then, cause he started with crayons. And that's the thing. Like you start with what you have, right? All he had was some like those fat crayons that, preschoolers and those in elementary have. He had that. And then now he has like colored pencils. And then he's asking for pastels and oil pastels and markers and shading. And now it's crazy how much passion he has for it, because he wakes up, the first thing he does is draw, and he goes to school, comes home, does his homework, and then before he goes to bed he draws. So now he's drawing, like, now that he's out of school, he draws like all day long, and you can see the progression on there. It's crazy. Where I thought, man, I'm sure there's collectors that are starting in that they're gonna feel like their first, like, this is gold, and then they look at everyone else like, oh, this is trash. But if you keep at it, like, you can eventually elevate, and then you'll find your niche.
Right.
I never would have pictured myself just making arcades day in and day out. Like, I would have thought I would have been more into toy photography or even just collecting. And this is kind of the path where the community kind of took me. And it's kind of crazy how I ended up here. And now with the podcast, it's like we're servicing you guys in a different way.
Yeah. No, I think that's you made some good points, because I think as you find things to get invested in, like your son with drawing,
yeah,
you may actually discover that there's things about that you're more passionate about. Like, just using that example, maybe he's more passionate about the coloring part. He likes to color and blending the colors and creating new colors. Or maybe he's all about the stenciling. He likes to draw and make the lines and really make an image. Yeah. Maybe it's the final product where you're putting the finishing touches on it, much like how a comic book is made. Right. You have a bunch of different people doing different pieces of that. Yeah. So as you're trying those new things, sometimes you discover that you have a passion for something else.
And it's crazy. That. You're dead on. It's crazy. He did the plants. I think he revised them like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, and he kept taking them down his door, and and each version was getting better and better. And I told my wife, man, this kid is really, like, he's starting to find his rhythm where he's drawing them faster and faster. The first time it took him like almost all week, and then he did it in a weekend, and now he'll do them in a day. But now he's shifted where he's quit drawing the plants because he's got the shapes down. And it's so funny, on his wall he has like old, he has like a line down the middle, and he drew a pea shooter, and he put old, and then he drew a pea shooter again, like how he does it now, and he put new, and it's like day and night. You're like, whoa, is that, like, it's crazy, right? He shifted, and now he's drawing like his own characters where he's like making up stuff. He's like, oh, now I see, that's cool, like a water bottle, and he'll draw shapes, or objects, I should say, objects, and he'll just add faces to them. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm making a world, or I'm making a different type of, I'm making my own story, is what he tells me. He's like, I'm making my stories. Oh, this guy, he tells me it's like a 2-hour discussion with him about his story and his characters. But he's like, he'll make a cone and he'll turn it into a character. And so it's crazy. Now he's adding shading, just like you said, adding shading, highlights. Like, that's what fascinates him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you start to discover, what is it that you like about it. And I think that the fact that you're trying makes you more inspired to do something maybe a bit more difficult. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now that I've tried, maybe you just start copying another image, like you lay it down and you copy it. Yeah, you trace it. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I still trace. I mean, I remember that. Trying to do my own customizing, and I still haven't graduated from a Sharpie. So sometimes you don't learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great example, and I think toy photography is a lot like that, where you're going to try with something simple because you don't know what the hell it is that you're doing. You know,
Right.
like when you
And
go into toy photography, if you're new to that, a lot of people ask themselves, "What should I get? What should I
yeah,
shoot with?"
right.
I think if you're starting out, shoot with your phone. Shoot with what
Yeah,
you
shoot with,
have.
yep, exactly. Shoot with what you have.
Yeah.
And you see
Don't go out and
a lot of great artists out there shooting with their phones, and you don't even know, especially
yeah.
nowadays. Like you can't tell when it's a phone or a DSLR,
No.
and there's so much you can edit all in your phone. Like I have Photoshop app, but it's also on my phone, so I can even alter and edit photos right on my phone, and you don't need the full setup. So it's crazy nowadays how accessible everything is.
Yeah. Because it's not the equipment that makes you an expert, it's the skill.
Oh,
You know, that's
life
what really
lessons. We're dropping
do.
life lessons. So if you find value, write that down. Let
Write
us
that
know.
down.
Come on, people.
I've had people quote me in the past, so if you want to do it again, please. But no, I think it's like anything else. You know, it's not the equipment; it's the skill.
Yeah.
Because anybody can go out and buy
Oh
the
yeah.
equipment that Prime uses, but are you going to make an arcade that looks the same? Probably not,
Yeah.
because you don't have the skill that Prime has. He's gone through. You know, he's probably had for every one failure. I mean, every one success, he's probably had 10 failures. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You have to just kind of learn that stuff.
I went to an arcade academy. So
Yeah, Arcade
It's
Academy. He
certified.
went to school. I mean, he's highly educated, expertly trained. I mean,
Yeah.
this guy, you can't compare.
I got trained by Geppetto.
But you're not going to come out of the gates and be in a Van Gogh or anything
Yeah,
like that. That's what I'm trying to say. Is like you're going to have
Oh,
to
yeah.
acquire the skill. So if you think that just the equipment is going to get you there, you're sadly mistaken, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think
'cause
like
you-
when we interviewed Dan, he was talking about like having that passion and the
Right.
consistency, just being consistent with it. If you love photography, like a lot of times just taking pictures, even if it's not of action figures and just like outdoor shots or indoor, and just constantly messing with it, you'll really master your phone, or you'll really master the phone settings, or if it's your DSLR. I really, when I was really into toy photography, um, everyone always said like use manual settings, don't do auto, use manual settings, and that was a little intimidating for me at first. And I was like, man, I don't know anything. And I was like, okay, well that's okay, I don't know anything. There's a bunch of resources out there that will show you how to, what are the key things you should know, ISOs, apertures, all that. Like mess with that first, like set that these are the standard settings, go from here. And man, I messed with manual settings, and I was so dialed in that now if I pick up my DSLR, I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, wait, what do I do again? Because I haven't been
Where do I
consistent
begin?
with it.
Yeah.
And it's dusty. It's like I forgot how to work the manual settings. But I'm sure if I dedicate the time again, I can pick up right where I left off.
Right. Yeah. So, like, if you're new to toy photography, just use your phone and see what you can do. And if you even like it, that's the first thing. Like, yeah, the idea sounds cool.
It's not that great.
But are you actually gonna like it? Are you gonna enjoy?
I don't like
doing
it. I
that?
don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Exactly.
You know what's crazy? So I did a collaboration with Grime City. We posted this awesome killer arcade that we both collaborated with, and we thought of this like, oh, let's make this graffiti arcade, because we were inspired by Vapor, and he's an awesome graffiti artist, and I freaking love Vapor. And in talking with him, I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if me and you came up with like some type of like graffiti inspired arcade? And then he took it to another level. He's like, what if we made one like specifically themed for Vapor? All right, and we're showing the picture right now, and I'm like, yeah, let's do my logo. One side has Prime written on it, and the other side has his Grime on it, and we're inspired by Vapor, and we made it tailored themed to that. But the pictures, I was taking pictures, they were trash. The pictures that I posted, you know who took those? My wife took those. She sat there and she was like, here, let's pick this window. She set it all up, and I was just sitting there in awe, because I was like, this is so frustrating for me, because it's time consuming, it's tedious. And she like focused on one angle. She took I want to say like close to 20 pictures, where I was doing it at first. I took like 3, click, click, click on my phone. I was like, all right, these are, and she kind of looked at me. She's like, here, let me do it. Here, set it up
Just
over here.
Sit down, honey.
She's
I'll
like,
take care.
hold my beer. She's like, here, take your beer, sit down. And it was crazy. Like the picture she took for just that arcade, she did the video. She all credit to Lady Prime, because she freaking killed it. And and the pictures came out phenomenal. I don't think I could have done such a half a decent job. And sometimes it's just recognizing what you're not good at. And I don't have the patience for it. I think at one point I had the patience, but now like I find more passion in creating stuff. Like I love making those cabinets. And between me and Grime City, like he designed all the decals on all over the cabinet. And because he did such a killer job, I was like, man, we need to come up with a way of doing the control panel, but not ruin your art. Like let's put it somewhere where your art's not. So he designed a panel where you put the coins, there's the slots and stuff, and they hold. His idea was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool, because it's for vapor, wouldn't it be cool if the joysticks were spray cans instead of like typical joysticks? And I'm like, dude, that's killer. Those spray cans fit perfectly into Vapor's hand. And he already has, if you have a Vapor, he has his hand like ready for a spray can. So it was killer. Everything's there. That specific model that we're showing right now on the screen, I hand painted the cans, hand painted the buttons. I printed he's designed the file, sent it to me. And again, it's great collaboration amongst two great artists. He designed that file to hold the cans and he sent it to me. I printed them and then I kind of fabricated everything and put it all together.
That's really cool, man. The spray cans are probably my favorite part. I mean, the
It's
arcade
unique,
looks, the arcade looks just killer. I love the collaboration that you guys did. It's like the best of both worlds, because you're creating the cabinet, Grime's doing all the the graphics and stuff like that. He's got the graffiti art down.
Yeah, it's a killer job. And even people reached out and they're like, "Oh, is this a real game or is this just a?" I'm like, "No, it's just a collaboration between the two of us." And that just goes to show like there's so much talent out in the toy community that it's great to see when two talented people come together and we set everything aside. We're like, hey, let's just make something great for the community because we both love and we have passion for it.
Yeah. Really awesome, dude. And these are open pre-orders now, right?
Yes. And this is the last week. So as this is airing, this is your last week. You want to get this in. This is going to be a limited run. After the pre-orders close, that's it. No more. We're not doing them anymore. Only because Grime put in so much work on this. I wanted to make this a very, very limited run. And once the pre-orders are closed, I'm not going to be remaking them anymore.
Nice. So if you guys want one of these, now's your chance.
Yep.
Go to prime-arcade.com. As Kevin from Toying Around would say, this is a dope for me.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. I really like it.
Yeah, I loved it. And again, that's just kind of going back to what we're talking about, is finding your passion. Like toy photography for me, it was very, at one point it was therapeutic, but then I found myself stressing over it because there are certain things like I wanted to participate in certain toy shots or certain sessions where I was like, I had a time crunch and it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started losing focus on it, and then I was like, my collection's getting out of control, all the other things we've talked about. And I think as a newbie, that's kind of one thing you have to ask yourself, like, what's your why? Why are you collecting? What's your passion? How much of toy photography do you really want to learn? Do you have the patience with yourself to be able to give yourself that time for that learning curve? That learning curve is really difficult. And if you don't have the patience with yourself, you get frustrated, you're taking shots. One thing I really learned, I think, and it was like, it might have been The Amazing talking, or even Jax, which Plastic Action.
Mm-hmm.
He was on a podcast and he was talking about how many shots he takes, and it was like close to 80 to 100 before that one shot, where I was like, I was taking 5 and I was like, okay, out of these 5, one of these have to be good. And it's like, no, that's not, you gotta take a lot of shots. And even Sergeant Bananas, when he came out with his book, 60 frames per second, it's like he takes like hundreds of shots and then chooses like maybe 1 or 2. That's when I was like, oh man, there's a whole lot more to it. That's when I came to that crossroads and like, okay, toy photography is either for me or it's not for me. I need to choose something else.
Right. No, I think, man, you said that so well. There's the easy way and there's the hard way. Mm-hmm. The hard way is usually what gets you better results. The easy way is the one where you just go into the room and, like, I'll take these 5. That's about what I was thinking. Let's just go with that. And if you don't have the passion for the toy photography, you're not going to want to put in the extra time to get the shot that you're really looking for. I think when Plastic Action says 80 shots, people are like, man, that seems like a lot. I can relate to that, because sometimes a shot does not come out very easily. It takes time and effort. I'll leave setups up for like 2 days. until I am satisfied with the shot that I'm going to
Yeah.
get. And even after that, sometimes if I feel like I've got a shot that I want and I'm happy with, I'll still leave it up for another day, just in case I find something that, ooh, I don't like the way this came out, or
Yeah.
Prime says I'm cutting off his arm weird, and I don't understand what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, you know. You gotta have.
You got to be able to look at it and then like take a step back, walk away,
Right.
and then come back and look. See. And for me, I'm not that patient.
Right.
One, I'm super clumsy. Two, I'm so like King
That's really
Kong
annoying,
with my
too.
figures. Like I'll set it up and then I'll move my elbow and I'll just knock everything down. And by that time, I'm just flipping the table over. I'm like,
yeah, I've had a couple figures go across the room when that's happened before.
See, and
just
man.
fuck this.
Yeah.
You know, you're over it. You're so mad. Yeah, when it falls over, I just give up. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm going to try that again.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it takes some finesse, and some things were just barely balancing. You barely got it up there, but you're like, okay, he's staying. Let me try to get the shot before he falls over, and then he falls over and he knocks something else over. You're like, man, it's just totally screwed up the whole setup.
Yeah. So that's our take on toy photography. But like even collecting, would you want to do teams or characters? I know there's a lot of collectors that specifically collect just everything Spider-Man. Like it's crazy. I didn't even know, but somehow I ended up with like a full shelf of just Spider-Man and then Hulk. Like I have every single freaking Hulk made. Toy Biz, Hasbro. I have some Diamond Select. I have and that's like the gauntlet runs through all those different types of brands. Have you found yourself in that same situation where you start building shelves where it's just like character dedicated?
Yeah, I think everybody, when you start collecting, you start with like at least something that's kind of brought you in. For me, it was Batman. I just wanted anything Batman I could find, or DC related stuff. For Prime, it was Marvel and Spider-Man, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's good to have some kind of focus early on when you're just starting, because we can all kind of fall into that trap where you go to Target and you see, oh, this new NECA Goliath figure, and oh, this Hasbro G.I. Joe looks cool. Let me try that out. I've never bought one of those before. And let me get this McFarlane Batman over here. Let me go and get this Jurassic Park Dino. You know, you're like you're buying literally everything that you can get your hands on.
Taking pictures with the dinosaur, Storm Shadow, and there's Batman coming in, and then Wolverine's fight. It's like, wait, what's going on in this picture? What's happening?
And then, and then you get home. You get home and you start opening up, and you realize there's a pile that you haven't opened, and then there's a pile that you have opened.
Yeah.
The pile that you have opened is probably the stuff that you're most passionate or most interested in.
Right.
The pile that sits there not being open is the one that you just kind of bought on a whim. You're like, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's good to experiment with different stuff. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but you got to be careful when you're buying things, not to buy too much at once or to spread yourself too thin, because for one, that's not sustainable. You can't keep up 6 or 7 different lines, you know, long term. It's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And two, you're going to find that you just don't have passion for a lot of what you're buying, and that's going to end up being a problem later when you've got too much shit that you're just sitting on because you don't really care about it and it's not selling, and you're just, man, I got all this stuff that I've spent money on and it's not doing anything for me anymore.
Sell it and no one's buying it, and then you have to sell it for less than what you paid for. And
right, you're gonna end
up
losing
sucks. And I think as collectors, that's why we wanted to do this for that newbie collectors. Like, don't find yourself in this position where you buy everything. You want to do teams and characters. I was in a position where I wanted to do teams and character. I like everything Marvel or Batman. And I was buying everything, and then I also wanted to complete teams. I wanted to complete my X-Men Gold team, my Blue team, my anime series. Like I wanted to complete certain waves. I wanted to complete certain BAFs. I was searching high and low, and I think all of us have been there. We're on OfferUp. I was on Craigslist. And then I joined this, like, I don't know how I came across it. It was like a toys for sale on Craigslist, and I got some killer deals. And then this was like Hasbro when the Red Hulk Build-A-Figure had just ended. So a lot of people, and it's crazy how you find yourself in these, like whether it's through Reddit and other avenues where now I would think, I'm like, why would I even deal with this individual and then just send him money or meet him in somewhere and just pick up a bunch of figures? But you get that bug where like everything is rationalized. Like as long as you rationalize yourself, it makes sense. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna go meet some random guy behind a dark alley. I don't care if his name's Mario. I'm just gonna meet up with him. And he's gonna sell me some pieces, you know. And it got to a point.
Cha-cha here.
hey, I'm trying to learn cha-cha. It got to a point where I was buying so much that packages was coming in, and I was so hooked on this toy photography. Then I was like, I need dial pieces. And I remember I found this listing on eBay, and it was McFarlane X-Files pieces. And the guy ended up being local, and he's like, hey, I sold it to you, and then we'll settle for a different price. I was like, yeah, sure. We're like, whatever, let's go. And met up with him, bought it for super duper cheap because the dude was at the point he just wanted to get rid of it. Like, it was a full series it was these X-Files with Scolder molding that came with the lab set. And it was like
I know
alien.
exactly what you're talking about.
So it was like a cryo set, and then it was one that it was like this green opening thing that had this body that looked very translucent.
Right.
He had, I want to say like 6 of them. He had 6 of the cryo frozen things, and then he had 6 of these green compartment things open. And originally he had listed them for like $20 for each lot. It was 6 pieces for $20. And he's like, hey, you know what? Take this for $20. You can have all 12 of them, the 6 cryo and the $6 for $20. And then I was like, heck yeah, I couldn't give him the money fast enough. He's like, I just want to get rid of these. I've been hanging on to these for years. And he was an older guy. And he's like, I just want to get rid of it. He's like, hey, I got a bunch of, and he opened up his trunk. He had all this Todd McFarlane stuff. It was like the Spawn set. It was a Kiss set. It was Fat Bastard. It was all this movie maniacs, like all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I just need dial pieces. I was so fixated on, I'm like, all I need is props. I need dial pieces. And it was just crazy where you're trying to score deals. And I think some of us, we do hit a hot streak where you start finding these hot streaks when you're like, oh, I got a deal here. And that's when we start to lose. I think we lose sight of our collection, and you just start accumulating a bunch of stuff. And I wasn't taking pictures to that caliber where I would be making use of them. I think maybe I used them twice, and you can probably scroll on my IG page and maybe see a shot where I think I have a Mezco Red Skull and then the lab set up behind them. And that's it. Maybe 1 or 2 pictures. I went through all that trouble, and I've had them. They've been in bins. And every once in a while, I open up the bin. I'm like, I should probably sell these to somebody that could make a better use of them. But
you were fixated on building out your Dio stuff that you didn't know what you wanted. You just got as much of it as you could.
Exactly. Yeah. So for the new collector, like, pause. It's okay. Pump the brakes. Look around. See if you really, really ask yourself once or twice, do I really, really want this? Even if the answer is yes, be like, let me hold off on it and give yourself a night to kind of let it marinate.
Be aware of FOMO because it does exist. The
especially
fear
for the
of missing
newbie.
Out. Yeah,
especially for the newbie.
It's not a popularity game. You know, that's what I think a lot of people get lost in is, man, if I'm gonna be a quote unquote hardcore collector, I gotta have all the latest and greatest shit.
Yeah.
And I gotta be the first one to post about it. Otherwise, my creds are gone. You know, which is just total, in my eyes, total BS. Like I don't care for whoever I'm following. Yeah, it's cool that you pick up certain things, but I'm not judging you as a person by what you're getting.
Yeah. No judgment here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not like trying to judge one way or another. If you get a lot or a little, or if you're the first guy or the last guy, it doesn't matter to me. You know, I'm there for your content more than anything else. So just focus on what it is that you truly want, not to be the first guy to post about it, because you could get something that you don't care about. You post about it, and then it just ends up in your closet for the next 10 years, like Prime here and his Dio pieces.
Man, there's so many stories like FOMO where it hit me hard. I remember when like the Juggernaut Diamond Select, that was such a popular piece because one, it looks fantastic, and I still have not picked him up because every time I see him, I'm like, yes, he looks awesome, but he's a freaking brick. I'm like, I love articulation. Yeah, this guy has no articulation. And every time I see him, I'm like, I want to pick him up. There's a couple of figures where I'm like, nope, just not gonna do it. And that's the thing, like, you want to stick to your guns, no matter how hard it is. For that new collector, stick to your guns. Like, it's okay that you don't get everything. That's all right.
Right. And, even if it comes down to like displaying the figures, are you going to do it mint on card? Are you worried about opening the figures? Or are you going to have a detolf? Or are they going to be on a bookshelf in your room? Like just,
or in a tub?
Yeah. Or are they just going to sit in the tub? Are you doing it to build out your display, or are you just doing it to collect? That's another thing to focus on, because as you're thinking about your display, you might want to like, hey, what am I missing in this display that I wish I had? What's this missing component? Maybe it's the compound Hulk, or maybe it's the symbiote Spidey or something. So use that as a focus. Like, okay, this is what I don't have. I don't need another duplicate of classic Spidey or a different version because I've already got 5 of them. let me focus on something I don't have, like a cyborg Spidey or
I have
Billy Moon Spider-Man or whatever.
And I look, I'm like, oh, that's a Spidey I need. And I look up at my shelf, I'm like, I have like 20 Spideys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, there's gonna be a collector where he's happy just that he has one Spidey. Like I remember I was at a point, and that's the good thing. Like looking back at my IG page, there was I think a shot way down there where it's like, oh, this is my collector spot. It wasn't even a room, it wasn't even a shelf. It was like this little tiny utility closet when me and my wife lived in like this little tiny apartment. All I had was like this little closet. It was probably like 2 feet by 3 feet, and I had like this little wall, and everything was mocked because I couldn't open up anything. And I took a picture, and I was like, oh, and I remember at that point I had like 2 Spider-Man. I was like, I'm on top of the world. I'm like, I want to be that collector again. The guy that had like 2 figures and was so freaking happy.
You felt great about it.
Yeah. I think the excess takes away the value in it or the joy in it.
Yes, it definitely does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or set like a limit. Like, okay, I'm only gonna have 10 Spider-Man. Or I'm only gonna have 5 Spider-Man, you know? Like
10 Spider-Man is the limit.
When you get the reason why I put that is when you put those limits in place, let's say if you are at the 5 and you told yourself no more than 5.
Yeah.
In order to encourage you to buy another one, you could just sell one of them.
That's the hard part for a collector too.
Yeah, that's true. It is. It's hard to sell, but I think about that old recycling motto: reduce, reuse, recycle. You know, reduce your intake.
Yeah.
Reuse what you have until the point of you don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
And if you don't want it anymore, recycle it by selling it to someone else.
No, and that's very true. I've sold very few legends lately in the last couple months, but I've sold them to collectors who like. There's one young kid that reached out to me, and he was like, "Man, I've been looking for this." I'm like, "Hey, I got it." I sold it to him for like way under like eBay prices. It was and it was way before like has the Black Spidey. I mean, I literally sold I think like $19. I was like, "Here, shipped, get it. You know, it's yours." Right. I wasn't having any use for it, and he was sitting in the bin, but this guy, he was like, man, I've been looking for him. He's like crazy expensive on eBay. You know, not a lot of people are letting him go, at least not for what he. And I was like, dude, like, I'd rather sell it to another collector who's really either has like, we all have our list, like, oh, I need this figure to complete my mission type of thing. I'd rather sell a figure and help another collector and make them feel like, it's like that one scene in Toy Story when Andy's giving all his toys away to that little girl, and he's like, "Here, take care of them." It's like I'd rather give it to another collector and be like, "Here, I know it's going to a good home." Instead of like what I hate seeing is when I sell a figure and then they turn right around, and then sell it for like double the price. I'm like, oh, come on, dude! I was hooking you up, and you freaking.
Right. It's kind of a slap in the face.
Yeah,
like, I gave you a good deal, and now you're trying to gouge people. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I don't deal with you again in the future.
Yeah, strike one. That's it.
Lesson. Right. Yep. One and done type thing. But yeah, I think that's like for me. And maybe this is because I'm a little bit more seasoned. I don't know if new guys would do this as much, but I stay away from eBay at all costs. Like, I don't really buy anything off eBay.
That's a good thing, I think, because the new guys, they go to eBay. Me as a new collector, my first thing was eBay. It was eBay. Yes. It was Craigslist. There was a group on Reddit, and I'm drawing a blank, but there was somewhere else where I would go, and it was just a specific group where it was like toys for sale or action figures for sale, and it was like and it could have been Reddit, or it could have been Craigslist, or it could have been something else, but there was always people posting up like tons of figures. And then obviously like Facebook, right? There's a bunch of toy groups out there that are specifically focusing on just selling legends and selling action figures and things like that. And I was like knee deep, and it would be like eBay first, and then
me too.
Go down a bit. As in like my tip to the newbie is like, stay away from eBay. Reach out to the community. There's a lot of guys that are willing to unload figures. If you're a new up and collector, and you're really like passionate about it, like I wouldn't bat my eye twice and give somebody a good deal if I know it's going to a good home. Like to me, it's like, okay, I have no use for it. I'm at a point where I'm like, I'm getting pretty close. There's going to be probably a sale coming up. Just FYI.
Right.
Yeah.
Pay attention to Prime's page.
Yeah.
But I think there's enough, like you said, there's enough people in the community. There's enough discords Facebook groups,
Oh yeah.
DM groups where you've got a group of friends on Instagram that you talk to each other constantly. Throw it in there, like, hey guys, I'm looking for this. If anybody can help me out, help me out.
And that's the good thing. They're really good about that.
Exactly, yeah. Because I compare eBay sometimes to like the Walmart of toy collecting.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they have a wide range and they probably will have what you're looking for.
Right.
But you don't know who you're buying it from.
Yeah.
People tend to lie. You could get a figure that smells like smoke. You don't want that. Yeah. Maybe you do. I don't know. Maybe that's you. Yeah. But I don't know who I'm buying from on eBay. That's what bothers me the most.
Yeah.
I want to buy from somebody that I know, okay, this guy's probably taking care of his figure.
Yeah.
It's not going to be super loose when I get it.
That's
if it's a Mezco, the fabric's going to be in good condition. Yeah. There's a lot of things you kind of have to think about because people can abuse figures and then try to sell on eBay for top dollar, and then you get it in hand. You don't really have a whole lot of recourse after that. You can't be like, oh, well, this thing's not what I thought it was going to be. Well, is the listing as is? Okay, well, you're kind of screwed at that point. Yeah. Now it's on you to resell.
But I would say is take that lesson from eBay for the new collector or the newbie stepping into this. Always send the payment goods and services, whether it's a Facebook group or you've been chatting with the guy. It's goods and services until you've built rapport and like right. If I was to send money to Nate, I would send him friends and family because I know where he lives. I'm gonna show up if he screws me over, and I'll be knocking on his door. But
yeah, I gotta talk to him the next week. Like, some of the things you sent me, man.
and really, it takes getting burned to really learn that. And for me, like when people deal with me, I always give them the option. If someone doesn't give you the option, like, hey, you can either send it friends and family, or you can send it goods and services. The choice is yours. Then right. I would feel a bit more comfortable. But if I've never dealt with the person, it's always going to be goods and services. The only thing, and it's with the caveat I say, is with goods and services, make sure you take the fee into consideration and make sure they get what they ask for. A lot of times, I give out prices on whether it's a cabinet or selling a figure, and I tell them this is the price for goods and services. This is the price for families and friends, and they'll send me the goods and service. They'll send me the payment. But it'll be the friends and family, and I'll get less than what. And a lot of the times, I'll just let it slide. I'll be like, all right, like whatever. It's $1 or $2. But if it's consistent, I'll let them know. I'm like, hey, I didn't get the full payment. This is the second time we've dealt with. Strike one, I'll let it slide. But strike, So my thing is for the new collector, always send that payment, goods and services, and just communicate with them. Be like, hey, I'm gonna send it goods and services. What's the fee? It's 2% of the payment. Like figure, there's calculators, there's apps, there's a ton of resource out there. Do your research. Send the payment, and at the end of the day, the seller, if he's giving you that option, make sure he gets what he asked for. If he's asking for, let's say $10, make sure he gets the $10 because if you send him $10 via goods and services, he's not going to get $10. He's going to get like $8.90 something cents. So, just being courteous and being mindful of like, oh, I sent it to him. Did I cover the fee?
Yeah, you're not dealing with a corporation, you're dealing with an individual.
Yeah.
So just think about that. And I think kind of branching off that, and then we'll move on maybe to other topics here, but it's just especially for new people, be aware of your reputation and how you are perceived and how you treat other people, because you only get one reputation.
Yeah.
And that follows you everywhere.
Oh,
doesn't matter if you go into a new Discord group.
It spreads like wildfire.
It does. Word gets around. Hey, this guy dicked me over. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest way to get a red flag on you is if you screw someone over, because you think it's a one-on-one interaction. That guy's going to go tell 10 other people that he knows, like, stay away from Prime. He screwed me over. This is the third time I've dealt with him, and he is not compensating me for goods and services.
Like, I bought a figure off Nate, and he just sent me a bunch of nudes.
Yeah, exactly. He told me I was going to get 27 heads. I ended up getting 9 heads. What's this about? Stuff like that. Just be aware of your reputation. Like, don't dick people over. Treat people how you want to be treated. The toy community, even though it's very large, it's also very small at the same time. If I hear bad things, or if I see bad things, or if I see people like just being assholes to somebody else, I'm going to stay away from that guy at all costs, because I don't want to deal with that. I don't want that. I don't want to have that in my socials. So just beware of your reputation and treat it with respect, because word will get around if you are an asshole or if you try to swindle people. It's not like eBay where it's faceless and you're not dealing with people that you know. In the toy community, you're dealing with everyone that knows everyone.
And I think so. Like, we've covered the toy photography, and as we talk about this, we're thinking about future guests and previous guests that we've had, like Jason B. Michael. We've had him; he's an awesome toy photographer. To give you guys insight on what their process is. So we've gone over camera, DSLR, teams or characters. There's a couple other things like price points. What's your thing? Where's your price point? What's your budget? Articulation. And we've talked about some of that stuff in our previous episodes. But the other thing is dials and customs and props. Like, I went through this whole phase where I was buying a bunch of customs, a bunch of props. I've got a handful of custom head sculpts. I was really into like the head sculpt game. I wanted to get one from every single like phenomenal artist that's out there. And dials, like, there's Nate, you've been hooked on a couple of dials from a certain individual who we may have beef with soon. I may have beef with this individual.
Wow, you're gonna have beef. Okay.
I got beef with Customs by Machu because he does a killer job. I freaking love the dude. He's very talented guy. So I got beef with him for him being so talented.
Yeah.
And this next guy, he's just talented too, and I got beef with him as well.
Yeah. I've got beef with him because he constantly takes my money. We stopped making things that I want to buy.
Yeah.
Because I can't resist anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah. Just word of mouth, I think, is huge too. If you're not sure, ask somebody. Don't be afraid to DM people, because the community is very friendly. People are very approachable. And also, don't keep your blinders on. Even though we're saying have a specific team or character, also be aware of things that might interest you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, as we have collected, as me and Prime have collected, our collections have evolved, our tastes have evolved, our, kind of our passions have changed. So be open to that and be willing to pivot. And like, I always try to say, have like an exit strategy. So how am I going to get rid of these figures I no longer want to fund my future figures? Don't just keep adding on to the pile. Get rid of stuff that you're not using so you can fund other stuff. Like, just use your figures to fund like a ongoing cycle here. Yeah. It's
you're good about that.
I try to be good about that. Just
I've
because
seen when you go through your phases, and I'll start seeing all these Mezco for sale.
I'm probably going to see another one here soon.
I was like, fucking Nate. I'm like, I don't need doubles. I don't need doubles. That's the thing. I don't need doubles.
It's
right now, there's someone that reached out to me, and I'm like, curse you. You know who you are. You're giving me a good ass deal. That's not fair.
Sometimes you got to rip the Band-Aid off and it becomes easier. Like, why is it that I'm so attached to this? Is it because it has a lot of value? No. Or I think it has a lot of value? Or maybe it's a character that I really care about? But how many Batman do I actually need? I've got 30 different Batman. Okay, let me cut it down by like 10. I'm okay.
I need them all.
Right. I don't need duplicates of Mezcos anymore. I used to buy 2 of everything. There's no reason for that, because it's really just to resell, and I'm not in collecting just to resell. I'm not doing it for that. Yeah. Maybe some people are. For me, I don't really care. Is it valuable? Doesn't really matter. Is it something I'm interested in? That's what I care more about. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys. Like we talked about earlier, as you're hitting the like button on this episode, leave a comment below for some of the new collectors out there. Something that you think would be helpful for them. Good tips. Something that you kind of ran into and you're like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Yeah. We're all about trying to educate others, Yeah. I think that's what part of what this show is about, is trying to educate other people in the community.
What would you tell your younger self? If you could go back 5 years, or when you first started collecting, what would you tell your younger collector? Be like, hey, look out for this. What's the one tip you would tell yourself?
Yes. And leave that below. We want to hear from it. We'll probably read them on the next live or our next episode. So if you got something juicy, we're going to share it with some other people. Speaking of our last episode, if you haven't checked it out, and if you're not subscribed, go subscribe to the Figure Booth on YouTube. We had a great conversation with with myself, Adam Van Wickler. Yeah. Great guy, lots of knowledge, works for Gentle Giant Studios. I think you need to go check it out if you haven't already. It's a great episode. And talk about a guy that knows a lot about collecting. He could probably give you some good tips as well if you're new to it.
He can give you lots of tips I'll just keep it at that.
Okay. Yeah, he's going to give you lots of tips, maybe some deep V's, So going into pre-orders, kind of had a big one recently. Is the Hasbro, slowly building up to it, G.I. Joe Cobra His Tank HasLab.
Man, I think everyone called it.
Yeah.
And
fully funded.
Wow. In day one.
Yeah. And we're recording this on the day it dropped. So for anybody's wondering, this thing funded in one day, and it's already passed it by almost 1,000 backers.
And it's going to keep going.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So that tells you, there's a huge community of Cobra collectors out there, or G.I. Joe collectors, excuse me. And they want vehicles.
Yeah.
That's two things I've learned from this. So I think if you're going to see more HasLabs, you're going to see more G.I. Joe HasLabs. This was a proof of concept for Hasbro. Like, damn, there's a lot of money here. I think they offered this early bird special, fun before July 6th.
Damn.
I don't think they even knew it was going to be this fast, because they probably wouldn't have offered that if they had thought.
What's the offer? Like, I literally
Yeah, so the offer.
Yeah.
The offer is this figure.
You have to back it what, before July 6th?
So it has to be fully funded before July 6th.
And it already is.
Doesn't matter if you back it now or if you wait until August 15th.
Oh, okay, cool.
You can back it at any time, and you get this figure now because it's fully funded. It had to fund before the 6th, so they're shooting for a 1-week fund.
And the price point, what are your thoughts on the price point?
I think $300 is a lot to ask for.
It is.
We talked about this before, when you think about what McFarlane offers at $25, I know it's not the same quality.
Right.
You don't get the light up features. This His Tank is, way above and beyond what McFarlane's offering. But I think about, do I need the light up features?
Yeah.
How
often are you going to use that? So you can fit a figure in the front. Can you fit figures in the back?
That's a good question.
I think I saw like a opening that you can fit a couple figures in the back. The figure looks cool, obviously.
Yeah, that's the early bird figure right there.
Yeah, looks like an army builder. They're gonna have to release a bunch of them.
I don't know. Actually, you bring up a really good question. Whether or not the back opens, I don't. Oh, it does.
It does.
There we go.
I saw.
It does open up. So yeah, you could store it. You could use it for storage, really, if you wanted to. So if you've got some army builders that you're trying to hide from the wife or something, just stuff them in the back of your His Tank. I didn't buy those.
And let's go over the dimensions real quick. How big? Oh, and then you can fit somebody in the top too.
Yeah, you can fit someone in the gunner seat.
Okay.
In the cockpit, you have like a little tiny seat here. So if you really want to make like a scene.
3 figures?
I think you could probably fit at least 2 in the back.
Okay.
1 in the turret and then 1 in the driver's seat.
5 figures.
4 or 5.
4 or 5. Okay. Yeah. What's the dimensions on this His Tank? I think it'll scroll up. Yep. Oh, scroll down a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Keep going. Right there.
Oh, here we go. Got it. 19 inches long, 11 inches tall.
Okay.
And you can see how a 7-inch.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big. I mean, it's not huge, but 19 inches long. It's
pretty long. I would imagine, if I remember from the show, the treads here almost went up to the top of a character's head.
Yeah.
So this to me looks maybe a little small in scale.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It's a tiny bit. I would agree with that. My only other thing is like a His Tank. In the show, would you only get one, or is this like an army builder type of vehicle? You need a couple. Like, I think like 3 His Tanks would be good. But then now we're talking, we're back to that formula, like $300. We're talking almost $1,000 to get 3 His Tanks. How, again, depending on how dedicated of a G.I. Joe collector you are, maybe you're satisfied with 1 His Tank or even 2 His Tanks. But even 2, that's $600.
Right.
I don't know. I'm on the fence on the price point. I don't think it's too expensive, but because it's like I feel like it's an army builder type of figure and vehicle, I would need more than 1. I bet I can't justify for myself, my budget. I can't spend $600 on 2 vehicles that are the same thing. Like,
yeah, I totally agree. But I also think that's probably why it funded so fast, because you've got people buying maybe 3, maybe 2 at a time.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that are buying this for resale.
Oh, the secondary market is gonna be crazy on this.
I think
Crazy.
so
I
too.
can easily see it selling for $500.
Yeah,
Double the
so
price, $600.
not really a bad investment if you think
No.
about it. You know, if you are on the fence, you're like, I kind of want one, I kind of don't. Do I need to spend the money?
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty safe bet to
Yeah.
spend the money.
If
and
you
then
spend the
sell
money,
it
you're gonna
later.
get your money back. Definitely.
Right. You're going to easily get what it's worth and probably more.
Yeah, for sure.
I've seen, that original HasLab from Transformers, the Unicron. I think it was like $400 or $500. I've seen it go for $1,200-$1,500 easy. So you're not going to lose money on this deal, but it's more of like, do you have the investment right now to invest that much into something like this? And do you really have any desire for it? Like we talked about, make sure you have a passion for this. I mean, this is just me talking. There's not like, I like G.I. Joe, but I don't see myself buying one of these.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I
I'm on the
don't
fence.
think I'm going to have. Yeah.
I'm on the fence.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are kind of like, I don't know. The good thing is, if you're interested, you have until the 15th of August.
Okay.
There's no rush. You get access to all the
large
unlocks.
window. That's a large window.
It is a big window. It's I know, especially when you see how fast it funded, but you have 47 more days left here.
Man,
crazy.
I got Galactus on the way. I got my Thunder tank on the way. I'm not gonna have any room for his tank. So
no, it's there's a lot coming right now too. Moving on to the next one. Speaking of big drops coming, the 4 Horsemen announced Mythic Legions All Stars 5, and this is what they were calling a plus wave.
Okay.
First time they've ever done that before. It's going to have the voted All Stars. So you guys remember they had a vote a little while ago where they had a bunch of figures, like which ones do you want the most? So they're going to have those as part of the wave. They're going to have PowerCon tribute, which are the MOTU, the Masters of the Universe tribute figures. They've done, I think, at least 5 or 6 of them up to this point. They're going to have a couple of more in the wave. They're going to have a head pack, which is going to be the first head pack they've ever done. Damn. So just a set of individual heads that you can use. And then brand new, never before seen figures, which is a first, I think, for All Stars. Normally, they don't do that. So they're calling it a 5+ wave because there's this many things that are going to be in pre-order. I think these are all the heads here. I think these are all the figures. It's going to be a huge all-in.
Wow.
If you go all in on this. The first one they've revealed is Romulus, which is this guy right here.
How are you feeling about this?
I'm pretty excited. I want to see. I have a good idea of which All-Stars made it because it was part of the vote. I saw kind of what made it to the final round.
That Romulus looks really, really good.
Romulus is one of the hardest to find legions out there. It's very valuable. So that's the reason why I think it was voted first. Everybody wants that figure. I'm really excited to see what is going to be new.
Yeah.
Because these new ones. And then which PowerCon MOTU figures are they going to do as well?
That's going to be exciting.
Big shout out to all the guys that are involved in being able to promote this stuff. We got the Legions Lounge, which is Trevor Williams, 1/6 shooter.
Show. Yep.
Yeah, Nate Strong, which is Corona4 on Instagram, and then Bill Drunowski, which is from the Dork Lair. You can see all the other ones here. Toy Bro, which we know, Legions Lair, Nerd Zoic, D Amazing, Legions Cast, Toy Happy USA, Mr. Allen, and the World of Toys. Those are all the guys that are going to be part of the reveal. So lots of streams coming, I think, over the next few weeks as we lead up to this. I'm pretty excited. Other pre-orders we want to talk about, but we'll move on to Plastic Confessions. Unless there's something specific that you wanted to discuss.
No, I'm ready for Plastic Confession.
We're going to leave some of these for the next live.
Yes.
These are the ones that I think we were most excited about.
Yeah, I think so.
So, Plastic Confessions, what do you have for this week? Are you getting a token?
I'm not getting a token. Actually, right here. Amazon surprised me. I got a nice... Funny that we talked about his tank. I got a Storm Shadow in yesterday from Amazon, which I totally forgot. Because when they were announced, I went crazy, pre-ordered them everywhere. Dorkside, BBTS, Hasbro, Amazon, and some crazy reason Amazon came through first. So as soon as it showed up, I just canceled all my other ones.
Oh, yeah. Hasbro's going to be last, man.
Yeah.
I'll get my BBTS order before you get your Hasbro stuff.
The funny thing is, I don't remember where, but I know I pre-ordered Spirit and Crocmaster. I have no idea. Like I checked my Amazon. Nope, not there. I'm like, oh, he's out there somewhere. So it might be Hasbro.
Yeah, that's rough. But yeah, good addition.
So yeah, just one. I got my Storm Shadow in this week.
Storm Shadow's cool. I'm cheating a little bit because I already talked about this on our live, but for anybody there that wasn't in the live, my plastic confession is this awesome Ninja 2.0 suit from C. Jessam. I was part of the Toying Around stream on Unboxing Thursdays. He did a giveaway. This was the giveaway prize. I'm still trying to figure out the belt a little bit, but just really cool. I mean, just amazing work. Yeah, all of these are individual pieces. So it comes with this top part. The hoodie is a different piece. The hoodie is articulated. It's got wire in there.
Got the mask on them or the...
Yeah, it comes with the little mask piece. It comes with the arm bands. It comes with the pants. It comes with the shin guards, and then all these elastic pieces to put it on. It took me a little. I was very careful in putting it on. I didn't want to ruin it, but I've got it on a Mezco Diabolic here.
Oh, and that Diabolic, that's a killer body.
Really cool. Yeah, it's basically like just a blank Gomez. For the most
that's
part.
the one Mezco I wish I would have picked up doubles of.
Yeah, me too. I know I've only got one of them, but
yeah,
really great. I don't think these are available from C. Jessam right now, but he does have like kind of a summer suggestion thing going on. So if you want more of these, make sure you guys let him know. I think he's looking for advice on what to produce. Obviously, you can't make everything all the time, so he's looking for suggestions. So go to his website if you want to throw in a suggestion.
Good.
Cool. So talking about my dirty trick for the week.
Dirty trick time.
Now, I say this as a dirty trick, but I actually haven't done it myself. But it's something that I've been wanting to. I actually got the idea from Prime. And it's something that we've been seeing a lot of toy photography on. People that are using glass to change perspective. And what I mean is that you're putting like a figure on glass. Like you could have him like flying. You could have like a Superman flying pose. It looks like he might be on a wire or something, but he's actually just laying on glass. You've got the camera underneath the glass shooting it. The good thing with glass, you can't see it, right? You don't know it's glass. You don't know it's there. So you could put props on there. You could lay them on top of the glass easily. You could put like little clouds on there. Like you could make a scene that's pretty dynamic.
Yeah.
Just by kind of laying it down on top of the glass and then shooting it from underneath.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people do some really crazy shots.
And that's a killer tip because a lot of times we're so used to, especially for the newbie getting into toy photography, we're so used to just this, like right here, just this way, right?
Right.
And
straight up and down.
Just straight across. Got the figure in front of the camera, and we're gonna take a picture, and that's it. But when I see these BTS, where I saw one where it was a glass and it was Falcon, and he had missiles behind him, and the picture looked phenomenal. I was like, it blew my socks away. But then when the guy showed the BTS, and he actually had the camera above, and he had the glass, and he had Falcon laying down. He had like a print behind Falcon. He had the missiles, and everything was just laying on the glass. It looked very, very simple, but the execution was like killer. That, and a lot of times it's that simple where you gotta like change the perspective where you're turning the camera, straight down onto the figure, making him seem whether he's flying or he's walking up a building or something like that. It's those simple tricks where I'm like, damn, this is why these guys are so good at what they do. Like for me, I'm always thinking just linear, like it's just put the figure in front of the camera and take the picture. But I think it's a little bit more to that, where when I love seeing these BTS, and it's like, hey, instead of just shooting forward, like you can always take the camera and look down on the figure, and that changes your whole perspective. Opens up the possibilities of what you can do.
That's so true. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. Mess with perspective. Mess with different perspectives, different angles. I want to try this glass trick. I haven't tried it, but it's something that if you got this big idea in your head, like think about it maybe a little bit differently, like break it down a bit differently, and you might be able to accomplish it easier than you think.
The glass trick, I've seen some killer setups. Sandman comes to mind. I've seen somebody did some killer stuff with Sandman, and it was so crazy because they put Sandman and then they laid the glass, put the sand on the glass, and then laid another glass, put Spider-Man. So that way Spider-Man nor Sandman got dirty with the sand. And I was like,
genius.
What? Yeah, genius.
Great. Yeah. There's some really interesting ways to use it. So. Try it out there if you guys are having a hard time with an idea, or if you want to get a bit more dynamic. I plan on trying it at some point soon.
Do it, Nate. Do it.
But definitely something I want to try out.
Yes, sir.
Last but certainly not least is our Figure Aficionado. And if you guys are listening and you're like, man, why haven't they covered this guy yet?
Yeah.
Or I think this guy deserves some attention. We might not even know
or
they
gal.
exist.
Not always guys. Come
Or
on, Nate.
gal, excuse
Everybody.
me. Yes, right.
We're open to everybody.
Yes, whether it's a gal or a girl. I mean, a
guy, gal, girl, whoever.
Gal. Exactly.
Like your kid, your neighbor, your boss, your coworker. We don't care. If they're a killer artist, send them our way.
Send them our way. Let us know, because there's a good chance we might not have discovered them either. We've all seen the Instagram algorithm lately is not the best at highlighting the people that we want to see.
Yeah.
So this is a good way of getting it out there, letting people see someone they might not know exists.
Yep.
This one, speaking of suggestions, is from our good friend, the Cha-Cha Master, the Contour King, 796 Studios.
Oh, hey-o.
So big thanks to 796, Mr. Mario, for giving us this suggestion. According to Mario, this guy actually takes photos of the snail shell wolf figure. I'm sure he's done others that I'm not aware of. His name is Akita 5995.
Okay.
And he does a lot of really cool art with acid rain figures.
Killer.
This looks really, I mean, I just love the
spikes.
Background. The atmosphere. It looks like these guys are moving. This guy's definitely got some talent.
Yeah.
I can see why his work was used as promo shots. This is one of those guys I wasn't aware of.
Very cinematic.
Yeah, very cinematic shots. And I didn't really, this was not a guy that I followed before Mario sent me the suggestions. So this is part of the reason why we want suggestions from you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. You can see he's very heavy into the Acid Raid line. He collects the snail shell stuff. We've got Ultraman here. Just very kind of different, not your classic like comic characters. He's doing a lot of this very different from Acid Rain and other lines kind of like that in the 1/18 scale. But just really a lot of talent. Here's that Wolfman figure, I think is what he was telling me about. I'm not sure if this is the right one. Sorry, Mario, if I'm butchering this, but I'm trying to remember which one you're telling me. But I can see some of maybe Mario's inspiration. He's been doing Acid Rain stuff.
Yeah.
Some of his photos kind of remind me of this. Not that I think.
So Mario's copying this guy.
No.
Okay.
I didn't say that.
Way to go, Mario. Way to go.
Prime's spreading rumors and starting beef. I did not say that. Prime said that. All I'm saying
Mario,
is we all get inspired by somebody.
Yes.
I'm inspired by people all the time.
Yeah.
I can see this being an inspiration for him.
That's right. No, this guy's photography, epic. Way better than Mario's.
Wow. It's a good thing you guys have long-standing beef because you're adding to it now. But yeah, really great work. If you guys aren't following Akita 5995, please go give him a follow.
Give him a follow.
He deserves more followers. He's putting out some really great work. If you're listening, man, just keep it up. I think you're killing it, dude. You're awesome inspiring me to try some other things. So,
yeah.
Big shout out to him. Please go give him a follow. And that does it for this week, guys.
That's it. We're coming to a conclusional end on this week's episode. We hope you've enjoyed the content. And if you did enjoy it, make sure you like the video. Tell us your thoughts. Spread the word. This is where we need your help in getting us to our goal for this year is to get us to 1,000 subscribers. But we need your help. You're our only hope.
We are counting on you, all of you. Please go spread the word. We appreciate everyone that has shared.
Yes.
Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbor, tell your boss. Hey, this is a cool podcast to listen to. Maybe go listen to it. And while you're there, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss when we go live. But big thanks to all you and all your support. Thanks for all your comments in our last video. We read all of those, so we appreciate it. We will see you next time, guys. Take care.